There was a wedding party at my cousin's house where I met my now wife, Louise. It was hard to describe how awful she was. As I stared at her beautiful face, I couldn't help but stare at it for a long time. During the wedding ceremony, she was one of the bridesmaids and she was one of the close friends of the bride. So it was a good advantage to be able to talk to her. After getting to know each other, we built up a friendship and exchanged phone numbers and got to know each other for the duration of the whole night. There was a scene that I could not get enough of her. I talked with her every single time I had a chance, mostly about nothing important, and she filled my thoughts every day and night. Our relationship grows stronger every single day as we become more attached to each other. We began dating a few months after that, and I call her my girlfriend. Then after dating for her for 2.5 years, we finally got married. It has been a pleasure to have been a part of such a great family over the last 5 years. The first child we had in our family was a very beautiful boy with blue eyes. Louis and I was very happy to have our first kid. We felt very lucky to have a beautiful baby. Once he was born, everything began to change dramatically in our family. In start, I was not even aware that my life would be changed into hell one day just because of that person who was my wife. Anyways, let's back to my story. My wife suffered several muscular and skeletal conditions as a result of her pregnancy. With the passing of time, the pain was getting worse and worse, and I cannot see her in the pain. Her situation was very critical. In addition to that, I believed that she was getting depressed because all of this was happening to her. I could understood that because a nasty disorder is not easy to handle. One of the Lucy's friends recommended a physio. After finding the physiotherapist, she started getting treatment from him. For a moment, things seemed to be getting well. I noticed that my wife felt a lot better after she took the treatment from the therapist. I was very happy and thankful to God about her recovery. She seemed to go all the time, 4 times a week for 4 hours in every session, almost religiously after that. But while that time I noticed her behavior was odd. Although she seemed to only do one thing sometimes, go to therapy, and though her concern for our child skyrocketed, she wasn't paying any attention to me at all. In front of me, instead of giving me her full attention, she started ignoring me, and when she got the chance, she started arguing with me. I was worried about her behavior, and all I wanted was to be with her and to know what she was thinking. It would be nice if she would come home, kiss me, and then go and play with our child once she gets home. There was a difference between her and the person she used to be. In fact, the kids' play was actually her sitting on the phone around our child while she was pretending to be playing with her. It turned out that she did not care about what the child was doing at all. In fact, she should be alert during when she was with the kid to take care of the kid. In order to make sure that she was not lying to me, I spied over her shoulder, but it was too late, so she turned and asked what I was looking at. She told me that she had been distant and that we had argued a lot, and that she had been fighting with me in front of our child. In response to the loose behavior and loud voice of the child began crying. As a child, it was really disturbing to see parents talking in a loud voice, because little kids are so sensitive in the early years of their lives. My reaction was to stop her, so I did, and I told her that it was disturbing for our child, and we should stop because conflict can affect the brain of our child. However, she began yelling at me. She did not stop or think about the child standing beside her as she began to yell at me. After that, I get the child from there and take him out. It wasn't long after we had that fight that her phone was on lockdown. I foolishly assumed that she might be experiencing some sort of issue, so I gave her the space to have the conversation with her therapist. There is now an additional session of therapy she attends once again on a weekly basis, where she sees this person 5 times per week. The thing that makes me laugh is that I did not even have to check my wife's phone to find out what she was doing. That day on Sunday morning, I borrowed my wife's iPad to search Craigslist for my sports car. It's a habit I've had for years, and that's when a message from my wife's therapist appeared on the screen. In the message, it said, "Where are you, stupid? In my view, it is not normal for a therapist to message a client whenever he feels like it." My intention was never to visit her gallery, but those messages made me feel compelled to do so. For some reason, I knew I would find something. Hence, when I saw the pictures of my wife with her therapist, not just close pictures, I started scrolling her iPad and I found their pictures in the bed while having physical relation. I didn't throw the iPad or blow up in front of her as I thought I might. It is evident that these pictures are showing each and everything they're doing, all that shit about extramarital relationship between a doctor and a patient. Although the photo was not incriminating, they did appear to be not just close but naked in the bed as well. I was aware about the alarming situation, yes, but they were easily ignored by my curiosity as to why she was sleeping with her therapist, and they took pictures in their naked situation. That scene in the pictures was not forgotten by me at all. There was a shameful situation in which they were lying in the bed in a humiliating position. My desire was to forget all these pictures, but being that the woman in the picture was my wife, I was unable to do that. There was a time when I loved her and she was loyal to me, but now the circumstances have changed. It was very painful for me, and I found myself thinking about them again, and that's exactly where I went after that. During the past 4 months, I was able to figure out that she had been chatting with a therapist on a daily basis on a regular basis. There was no doubt that what she had done shook my core. I went to the restaurant and started drinking on that night. I have no idea how much I drank, but I have never been able to forget those pictures. There was a real sense of brokenness in my heart on that night, and I cried a lot. I considered that to be one of the worst nights of my life so far. There was a place in her heart where he had taken over the place I had occupied in her heart. Watching my wife cheating on me in front of me was one of the biggest disasters in my life that I have ever experienced. In those few days, my world went red and I was unable to focus on anything for a while. As far as I know, I was of sound enough mind to take screenshots, send them to my phone, and then delete all traces. That is what I imagine it would feel like when you don't even know you are in a horror story, just trying to escape and cover your tracks so that you can make it alive in the end. There was a lot of happening in this scenario that really frustrated me. Anyway, then I calmed down a bit. I was feeling helpless and embarrassing when I was getting out of control. I decided to share this and I had a quick talk with my best friend about how to deal with this situation. In response, he recommended that I should divorce her, but not easily. Firstly, just observe what is the real game Luz is playing behind me. After that, I speak to a lawyer who then suggested that I apply for a divorce without informing my wife of it. There was a lot of happenings in this scenario that really frustrated me. Soon after, he expressed his condolences for my unfortunate fate, saying things like this happen all the time. My wife and I had to fake it for a couple of days after that. Honestly, it was not a very difficult task at all. There was hardly any attention paid to me by her while I was trying to sleep. However, I did not really feel like sleeping that night because I knew Luz had been trying to sleep with her therapist in another bed and not sleeping much at all. As a recommendation from the lawyer, I hired a private detective to investigate the matter. Apparently, these people are good at what they do, and they know how to do their jobs well. In the course of their investigation, he discovered that Luz was going to a motel with her bloody therapist during all 5 of her appointments each week. Not gonna lie, it feels like taking a bullet to the heart that went upwards. Seeing my wife doing that stuff was very painful to watch. Even though I loved her like crazy, and what she did to me was very painful to watch. During my consultation with my lawyer, he said that it was what he called a foolproof case. In my conversation with him, I told him that I really did not care about any of that and I just wanted to end my relationship with that woman. In light of the proof we obtained from our investigation by our private detectives, we have reported the therapist to the medical board. It was somewhat comforting to watch the therapist get reported to the authorities. I was a bit happy because he deserved that according to his crime. Anyhow, his main crime was how he disrespecting his profession by having an affair with the person he was supposed to treat, and finally being honest about the divorce. It was a big relief for me from the mental torture I was suffering for the last few months. Once my wife found out that her secret man was in hot water, she called me in a frenzied state, crying and begging me to work out a solution because it was a mistake. In response to her bullshit crying, I called her out on it. The next day, I called her parents to let them know what had happened. The parents were not aware of anything, scolding her daughter for cheating, and they immediately started from a whole state away to pick her up right when I asked. During this time, I packed all of the things that she still had in my home into bags and placed them outside. I simply shut the door on her bloody face. There is nothing left to talk about. Her parents found her a mess from crying her hours. When they arrived a little past midnight, and she appeared to be in bad state. It was only a matter of time before I sent her divorce papers, so that we could finish this dirty game of hers once and for all. The rest is pretty much history. In the end, I ended up filing a lawsuit against her for custody of the child, as for much I could get for my house and for no alimony. It took 8 months for the court to hear this case. After fighting hard for my case, I was able to win it in the end. It was my lawyer who truly believed in me and in my case, and he gave everything he had to make any case a successful one. There's only one thing I can think of, and that is that I have realized that this is all what was supposed to happen. In the end, neither my ex nor I were happy with the way things were going. My daughter is adjusting well to our new city, and we are not bogged down by the weight of arguments that we have between us and my ex-wife. It seemed to me that my wife may start to open up from this point forward, but I don't want to be too much sure about that.